What would you do if a single whisper could save the life of the most powerful CEO in the United States? A single father uncovered a terrifying secret just moments before a private jet was about to take off. What happened next would change the way you see trust forever. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications because this incredible story is only just beginning. In Dallas, Texas, the rising sun illuminated the financial district as Victoria Hayes prepared for one of the most important days of her career. As the CEO of one of the fastest-growing technology companies in the United States, she was used to making difficult decisions under intense pressure. That morning, she was scheduled to board her private jet to New York, where she would finalize a multi-million-dollar agreement with international investors. Every detail had been arranged with absolute precision, from her meeting schedule to the flight itinerary. For Victoria, this trip represented far more than just another business contract. It was an opportunity to secure the future of the company she had built through years of dedication, sacrifice, and hard work. At the private airport, the atmosphere reflected efficiency and luxury. Assistants reviewed important documents, the pilots completed their final pre-flight checks, and the security team carefully monitored every movement. At first glance, everything appeared to be completely under control. However, just as the boarding process was about to begin, an unexpected technical problem disrupted the routine. During the final inspection before takeoff, the aircraft's primary systems suddenly stopped responding. The pilots attempted to restart the controls several times, but each attempt produced the same result. Aviation technicians were immediately called to inspect the aircraft, convinced that they were dealing with an unusual mechanical failure. Among the maintenance crew was Ethan Brooks, an experienced mechanic known for his exceptional attention to detail. Although he had worked at the airport for many years, very few people knew his personal story. Ethan was a single father raising his 8-year-old daughter on his own. Life had taught him that discipline and responsibility were essential, not only in his profession, but also in caring for his family. While the rest of the technicians focused on the aircraft's electronic systems, Ethan chose a different approach. He began manually inspecting several internal connections inside the plane. Years of experience had taught him that some of the most dangerous problems never appeared on computer diagnostics. Instead, they were often hidden in tiny details that almost anyone else could easily overlook. After several minutes of careful inspection, Ethan discovered something that completely changed his expression. One of the aircraft's critical systems had been altered with such precision that it could not possibly have been an accident. The wiring showed clear signs of deliberate tampering, and several safety mechanisms had been carefully disabled. This was not the result of wear and tear or a maintenance mistake. Someone with advanced technical knowledge had intentionally sabotaged the aircraft, planning for it to fail during the flight. Ethan immediately realized that if the jet had taken off, the consequences could have been catastrophic, putting every person on board at risk. Without wasting a second, he hurried toward Victoria, who was calmly speaking with her advisors while discussing the unexpected delay. Approaching her quietly to avoid causing panic among the staff, he spoke in a firm voice, low enough that no one else could hear. "This isn't a mechanical failure. Someone sabotaged this aircraft." Victoria looked at him silently for several seconds. The accusation was shocking, but the confidence in Ethan's voice made it clear that he was not exaggerating. Without asking unnecessary questions, she immediately ordered the flight to be canceled. The announcement quickly spread among the team. Some believed Ethan was overreacting, while others began to suspect that the situation was far more serious than anyone had imagined. The pilots supported the decision to postpone the flight until a complete investigation could be carried out. Shortly afterward, aviation security specialists arrived, secured the area, and began a detailed inspection of the private jet. With every passing minute, the tension continued to rise. Standing silently on the runway, Victoria stared at the aircraft, realizing she had been only minutes away from boarding a plane that was now being treated as the scene of a possible crime. As the authorities gathered evidence, Victoria couldn't stop thinking about one disturbing question. Who would have a reason to attack her? Her company had grown rapidly over the past few years, signing major contracts that had attracted the attention of some of the most powerful competitors in the industry. Even so, she had never imagined that someone would be willing to go this far to stop her. Meanwhile, Ethan continued assisting the investigators, carefully explaining every detail of what he had discovered during his inspection. Without realizing it, the single father had just saved the life of one of the most influential women in the country. What neither of them knew was that this discovery was only the beginning of a much larger and far more dangerous conspiracy, one that would involve people close to Victoria's own company and change both of their lives forever. After the flight was canceled, federal authorities and a specialized aviation security team arrived at the hangar to carry out a complete inspection of the private jet. No one was allowed near the aircraft while the experts examined every system. Several hours later, the preliminary report confirmed exactly what Ethan Brooks had suspected from the very beginning. Several essential components of the hydraulic and navigation systems had been deliberately tampered with. There was absolutely no possibility that the damage had resulted from normal wear and tear or a simple maintenance error. The evidence clearly showed that someone had carefully planned an act of sabotage with potentially fatal consequences. When Victoria Hayes received the official findings, she felt both relieved and deeply unsettled. She knew she had narrowly escaped a terrible tragedy thanks to the quick actions of a mechanic she had barely known. But an even more dangerous question now filled her mind. Who wanted her dead? For years, she had built a successful company, negotiated major business deals, and competed against powerful rivals. Yet she had never imagined that someone would organize such a carefully planned attack against her. As she looked over the investigation report on her desk, she realized that the real enemy might not be outside the company at all. It could be much closer than she had ever imagined. Investigators began reviewing security camera footage, hangar access records, and the list of authorized personnel. They soon discovered that during the night before the scheduled flight, someone had used internal security credentials to enter the restricted area where the private jet had been parked. The most surprising part was that the credentials belonged to an employee with an excellent reputation, someone who insisted they had never been at the airport that night. That revelation suggested only one possibility. Someone had either stolen or duplicated the employee's access credentials. Meanwhile, Ethan continued working closely with the authorities, carefully explaining every technical irregularity he had discovered during his initial inspection. As the days passed, Victoria decided to place her full trust in Ethan. Although they came from completely different worlds, he had proven himself to be honest, observant, and remarkably capable, qualities that were becoming essential to uncovering the truth. Ethan agreed to help her, even though he knew his involvement could put both his job and the safety of his small family at risk. Every evening after finishing work, he met with Victoria and a small team of investigators to review documents, photographs, technical reports, and security records. Little by little, they began uncovering connections between recent contracts, suspicious financial transactions, and corporate decisions that had once seemed perfectly ordinary. The investigation took an unexpected turn when they discovered that one of the company's senior executives had been holding secret meetings with representatives of a rival corporation. Bank records revealed millions of dollars in transfers made through shell companies, while encrypted emails exposed conversations about delaying several major technology projects. Everything pointed to one conclusion. Eliminating Victoria would allow those involved to seize control of the company and sell valuable strategic information for an enormous amount of money. The conspiracy was far larger than anyone had imagined, reaching into several departments of the organization. With enough evidence finally in hand, the authorities organized an operation to arrest those responsible before they could destroy the remaining proof. During an executive meeting, federal agents entered the building and arrested the main suspect along with several accomplices. The documents seized during the operation confirmed that the sabotage of the private jet had been planned for months. They also revealed that those responsible had prepared a plan to blame the incident on what would appear to be a mechanical failure. Victoria watched everything unfold in complete disbelief. She realized that she had spent years working alongside people who had been willing to betray her trust for ambition and money, hiding their true intentions behind a mask of loyalty. When the investigation finally came to an end, Victoria gathered all of the company's employees to share the results. Instead of speaking only about financial losses or future business projects, she chose to publicly recognize Ethan Brooks for his courage and integrity. She explained that true leadership is not about occupying the largest office or signing the biggest contracts. Real leadership is about listening to honest people who choose to do the right thing, even when no one is watching. That evening, Ethan returned home and embraced his young daughter, comforted by the knowledge that he had done what was right. As for Victoria, she came to understand that business success has real value only when it is built on trust, courage, and principles strong enough to withstand even the most difficult challenges.